Hello, hola, and marhaba, and welcome back to season 2 of Gen Z Amigas. I hope everyone enjoyed their summer. And just to remind everyone, this podcast is where we unpack what it means to be young, what it means to be global, and what it means to, figure it all out in a changing world. And I'm your host, Maha, and today we're diving into a very real Gen Z dilemma: passion versus paycheck. Should we follow our dreams or follow the money? And I'm sure this question hits hard for so many of us trying to make these decisions that shape the rest of our lives. Do we do what we love, even if it pays less, or, take the stable job and try to chase our passions on the side, or put our passions in a box? And now joining me today are three incredible guests, bringing completely different perspectives to this conversation. Fakhoury, who is already in the workforce and already graduated from university, who knows what it feels like to make career decisions in the real world. Celine Mercier, a third-year student at IE University, currently, like me, in that messy stage of trying to figure it all out. And we're always in that conversation of what are we going to do after graduation. And Sanjana Raheja, a entrepreneur and freelancer who has built her own career path outside the kind of maybe 9 to 5 system. So welcome to the show, guys, and let's get started. So I would like to start where each of you stand right now. And Maya, I want to begin with you. You've been out of uni for a few years now and are working a full-time job. Can you tell us what your current job is and whether you'd say it's something you're passionate about or something that maybe just pays the bills, or a bit of both?
Yeah, of course. So I graduated university about 5 years ago, which is crazy because time completely flies. And I work at a media agency in New York. So I do media planning for a few different clients. So just kind of generally like in the marketing world since I graduated. And would I say it's a passion? Not necessarily, but it is very interesting work, and I've always been a proponent of like, explore different careers or explore your interests, and you'll find your way to, um, well, eventually you'll find your way to your passion if you keep trying and keep working. And right now, I would say in that sort of realm of is it a passion or a means to, living, to paying the bills? It's a mix of both because at the end of the day, my dream was always to live in New York, so in a sense, it's a means to an ends of like living one form of a dream, but it's a process to getting to the career passion uh, aspect of it all.
So living in New York was your passion and you're there, and then maybe the job is something that will come later. And
Exactly.
yeah, so I want to bring that kind of perspective and maybe a different answer to Celine. You're still in university. Can you maybe walk us through where your head's at when it comes to life after graduating? Are you leaning towards following your passion or maybe focusing on financial security? And as well as what you're studying, does that allude to anything?
Yes, I mean, I'm a bit lost. I don't quite know already what I'm gonna do, but I know that after finishing my career, 3 more years, I want to start working, start having like experience and start to see what I like in different jobs, basically. And then maybe do a master's to focus on something that I like and I wanna do. But I'm not, if answering to your question, I'm not, I think it's really a balance. My goal is to find a balance between what I like and something that will pay my rent, you know? So I think if I wanted to do whatever I want, like if rent didn't matter, I would totally go and travel the world and, I don't know, do a lot of stuff, maybe open my little pizza place or whatever. But I think because money matters and I want to build a family, etc., I do want to find this balance in life.
Yes, that balance is, quite important. Um, and I mean, I think that's kind of everyone's goal to have that balance of the job and the pay. And so, Sanjana, you are a new person to this podcast. So again, thank you so much. And you are bringing a different perspective. So I would really like you to first explain what you do. And can you tell us what drew you to this path and whether you see your work as passion driven or paycheck driven or a bit of both?
Yeah, for sure. And hi, everyone. Thanks for having me on this podcast. It's such a pleasure to meet all of y'all. I'm Sanjana, and I work in matching and working with entrepreneurs and founders and helping them be investor ready as well as business ready. What this means is that, of course, help them in their business and help them fix things that might not work for them or they might not understand, and help them, be able to scale up and get funding from investors. Reason why this drew me to my path, and you'll find a little bit of hints along how I really tried to blend in that balance between passion and purpose. I love learning. I still love doing that, and I'm still as lost and as confused as I was a few years back. So what drew me to this path was understanding and trying to delve and see, okay, hey, what are the different industries out there? Is our media industry is good? Our typical, let's say, tech industry is good, or let's say you can say something like our restaurants or restaurant or pizzeria industry is good. So what's something that I really love and I'm passionate about? So what I try to do is that, of course, in the purpose or pursuit of, finding my passion, I try and see that, hey, can I make a paycheck out of this? So I try to figure out what are the problems that they typically have in their business. It could be something like, okay, hey, AI or automations, or something simple as financial bookkeeping or things like that. And in return, I get to learn a few of the things that they work with, right? So that's pretty much what I do.
So it's a wide spectrum of helping entrepreneurs and people, getting themselves out there, which is very, I respect that a lot. And from my eyes, it's quite a passion part of what you do. And I think I want to maybe put that on the flip side and talk about the pressure. And I want to think that what makes this conversation so complicated is all the pressure from family, from society, even from ourselves to to have a stable income as well as pursue our dreams because life is too short in a way not to pursue our passions. So Maya, I want to take it back to you. Do you feel like you had to moving to New York, which was your passion, but then your job maybe wasn't as close to a passion? Was that a sacrifice you made for stability, or was it a, more conscious choice, something you felt you pushed into?
I guess it was kind of a mix of both. I graduated also in COVID, so the job market was not great. And then, as you guys kind of all pointed to, when you graduate, if you don't have a specific career in mind or a specific path of maybe something that you studied that leads you to the next step, which is most people are kind of in our boat of like you graduate and you're a bit lost and you're like, I really have my whole life ahead of me and I have no idea what to do. And it feels like everyone around me has everything figured out and everyone has a job and I don't like, so you put all these pressures on yourself and you're like, I want to be financially independent if you aren't already. A lot of people graduate with student loans, so then there's that financial burden. There's like all of these pressures that we put on ourselves to graduate and have everything figured out. So for me, it was applied to a bunch of different agencies, applied to a bunch of places. I knew I wanted to stay in New York, so I went with kind of the best option that I could find at the time. And I ended up really enjoying it and loving my team and learning a lot through there. And I would say one of the things that I'm finding myself to be in now, which I know also happens to a lot of people my age, is you stay in a job for a few years and then you're in it and you're comfortable and you enjoy your team, you enjoy your work, but it's not necessarily your passion. But you have great days off, you get to travel, you have good like work-life balance. Like there are these different pros and cons that kind of make you stay in a role that isn't necessarily your passion, but gives you all these other freedoms that are, to me currently, just as valuable. But to Celine's point, there's a future planning where you get to a point where you're like, I have to pay rent, I have to pay my bills, I eventually will have a lot more responsibilities. So is it time to make more of a sacrifice and go into a higher paying role that's not necessarily a passion, or just take the risk and put yourself out there and try and pursue something that you
Yeah,
have
so
always
there's
doing?
pros and cons and
Yeah,
benefits to maybe not the dream job, but like you said, you have holidays, you have more flexibility, and maybe that's something that, some people, and I'm sure a lot of people, especially Gen Z, are looking for that
yeah,
flexibility. And Celine, moving on to what Maya was saying about the pressures from yourself, from friends, when we talk about careers between ourselves, professors, what kind of message do you get from people around you when it comes to choosing a job for the passion versus the paycheck?
You mean like what have I taken from other people, like
What
as
are
an advice?
people, well, advice or things that people have told you about themselves, and how does that affect you when your parents talk to you about what do you want to do when you're older, Celine? Is that something that they put on you as more of a passion, or something where, oh, you need to have a stable career with good money? Is it what does that look like for you?
Yes, I think it's really difficult because I don't even know. So I have a debate basically in my head. Um, from my mom's side, my mom studied international relations and she basically regrets it. Like she doesn't really like it. She's a person that is not really interested in like she wasn't gonna work in an embassy, basically. She was more of a person that likes nature, likes helping people. She likes all those things. And since she was little, she was like, I want to study something to do with the ocean or preserving the nature. And so my grandfather was really like, no, you have to do something that will bring you money and your career is important. And at the end of the day, my mom, she studied something that kind of was gonna build her career, but she doesn't really like she didn't like it, and now she's doing something that is her passion. Now she's studying about agroecology, and now everything has to do with seeds and preserving the nature and everything. So on her side, I take this as a okay, you have to at least follow a bit of your passion. Like if you study something that you really don't want to see and does will not make you grow as a person in the future or make you successful, I think it is important not to go through that path.
The
But
answer, yeah. Continue,
uh,
continue.
in the other side, I feel like, well, my dad, he's a really also like he works in a bank, and he's really like, no, you have to work on a career, blah blah, and you have to make sure that you you're gonna kind of suffer. I don't want to say suffer, but you're gonna have to work. And I told him like there's some countries that work like for example in Spain, people work from 8 a.m. to 2 and then they go home, but and they have an organization or whatever. But in Mexico, it's more like from 6 a.m. to 6 in the afternoon. And he tells me at the end of the day, yes, you can find a balance where you work in the morning and in the afternoon you go to your home, you do your different things you have to do, but at the end of the day, the ones that want to be really successful and have maybe retire early or have these amazing trips with their family, they're gonna have to work a bit more. I mean, it's also, I think it also depends of what you prefer. You prefer having life, like simple life,
Yeah, there
not
needs to be
really,
a balance. Is that what you're
yeah,
trying to say? Yes.
exactly.
And I think you were talking about your mom from the inspiration. And I think that that's a great figure to have, of someone that if it's not their passion, they will move on to the next thing that's their passion. And Sanjana, I want to ask you, what you are obviously doing a very passionate thing for yourself. Did you face any pushback from people around you for choosing the freelancing and entrepreneurship over a traditional job? And how did you
Uh,
handle that, if so?
Yeah, definitely. I actually started off working full time at a job, so I can say that I've been on both sides and I can tell you a bit about how it works. Yes, your parents, elders, everyone is going to be after you saying, hey, it's important to make sure that you have a paycheck because you can use that to then achieve your purpose. The only sad thing is that you can't really you're put into a position where you have to keep waiting and possibly collecting cash to finally achieve a passion. And what if it's too late for that, right? You realize that, and even as you said before, life's too short. You want to make sure that every day is spent in a way which you enjoy, not towards working towards something and hoarding towards something which may not even happen. Yes, so when I joined in working full time, of course, it was a very nice company. You had all of the benefits that came in, and this was pre-COVID, so the remote working scene was not that much. But I'm really glad to have that the company that I was in introduced the remote working option, not for too frequent. I mean, not too frequently, but you can say, let's say, once in a week or twice in a week if it's urgent, then they would be okay with having you work remotely, which was actually awesome, right? I really liked that approach. I also had several other benefits, including they were a tech company, so we could be very informal in our approach, in our attire, in everything in that sense. That really gave me the freedom to explore and understand, oh hey, is there something that tech companies provide that traditional companies do not? And I think that spark started from there. Coming on to the other side, of course, everyone around me was like, why are you doing this? Didn't you enjoy the work that you were at before? What's something that's making you move towards that side? And at that point in time, there was a time where I wanted to try and explore several other industries, right? You only have one life, and to an extent, maybe I'm crazy like that, right? I'm not just happy with just checking out, hey, how does tech work? I want to check out several other industries. And that's only something when I realized that, hey, if I have a problem that they're facing that I can solve, maybe that can be some sort of like a two-person scenario where I can solve their problem, and in return I get to explore how the industry works. So I'm trying to work towards that. I won't say I'm there yet, but so far it's going pretty interesting. People who have problems and they're willing to give me a view into how it works in their life or in their industry, they're pretty much okay with it. So going good so far.
Amazing. Thank you, Sanjana. I think uh, for I think it's interesting to hear your point of view. And Maya, I don't know if you also have an opinion on what Sanjana is saying. And what I wanted to ask you is, in your experience, Sanjana works with these people that are trying to be more passionate and entrepreneurial. Are you seeing people around you find ways to merge their passion and their job, or is it mostly work by day, passion by night?
I would say one, it's like a very impressive and like admirable thing to what Sanjana has done and is doing, which is like following what you want to do and taking those, like you said, um, it's not necessarily like taboo to be like, okay, wait, I want to try all these different industries. To the general public, they're like, well, how can you do that? You go to one job and that's it, and then it's hard to pivot and all of these things. So it's very impressive that you're like, well, no, I'm gonna do it. It's one life. I want to do it how I want to live it, how I want to live it, and so yeah, so very, very impressive. But I would say it's a very hard thing. It's a very scary thing, I think. Off the bat, just in general, being like, okay, wait, I'm gonna go down this path, and I don't know what the rewards are gonna be, but I'm gonna try my best to make it work. Um, in terms of everyone around me now, I think everyone's kind of hitting this crossroads of, do I stay in this job or industry, or maybe shift industries, or if I can, for the foreseeable future? Because people currently, like in the roles that they're in, they're like, well, I could get a really great like severance package. I can stay at this company and have all these benefits, and I can be a loyal employee for the rest of my life and live a great life and make a lot of money over time. And then there's the question of, but do I want to be part of a corporation for the rest of my life, or do I want to follow a new passion and do something that I want to do, or start my own business, or should I go do an MBA? That's like the biggest question I would say that everyone kind of hits around like 26, 27. So yeah, I mean, I would say the general sense is everyone's reconsidering what they're doing right now and thinking about their next step. And I don't know what that next step for everyone looks like. For me personally, it's really doing exercises to figure out, like you were saying, Sanjana, of merging passion and, you know, profitability in a way, because, you know, not everything's going to make money. So doing those exercises to figure out what that potential niche could look like. And it takes time to figure it out also. And yeah, so
Yeah, you know, I'm
that's kind
starting
of
to think that the passion versus paycheck dilemma isn't black or white. It's a constant balancing act, which, like Maya, you have just explained. You might start in a paycheck job and pivot later. You might freelance and slowly build your way into something that you love. I think our generation, you know, needs to stop thinking there's one right answer. Success looks different, you know, for everyone. And the truth is, it might take a few tries before you find a career that both, you know, feeds your wallet and your soul in a sense. And I think that's all the time that we have today, actually. That's a wrap on the first episode back of season 2 of Gen Z Amigas. I want to say a huge, huge thank you to Maya, Celine, and Sanjana for joining us and being so honest and so open and so elaborative about the highs and the lows and the in-betweens of figuring out what to do with our lives. To our listeners, where do you stand on the passion versus paycheck debate? Are you choosing your dream, the money, or trying to find, you know, something in between? So please drop us your thoughts in the comments. Tag us on Climate Pen Pals Media's LinkedIn and YouTube. And please, let's keep this conversation going. Until next time, goodbye and shukran.